is going on, future millionaires? So today, what we're going to be doing on the MTI show, I got a buddy from the drip community who we've kind of been talking back and forth behind the scenes since I put out the very first video. His name is Scott the Investor, and so we're going to just be, hashing it out, talking about drip, what we plan to do with drip, answering, some community questions, and just kind of vibing out. So if you can hear the audio, okay, and if you're coming in. Let me know down in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up if the audio is coming in okay. Wait for a little bit more people to come in, and then I will bring on the guest for today's show. All right. So yeah, if you can hear me okay, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up or just let me know. Sounds clear. Appreciate it, Gary. All right. Which chain elbow cough. All right, we got a few more people starting to come in. What's going on? Crypto Mark, woohoo, Gary Williams, thumbs up, okay. So we got more people starting to come in. Typically, it's a little bit of a lag as well on the YouTube side. So appreciate everybody letting us know. So yeah, further ado, I'm going to bring on Scott the Investor. Super chill dude. A lot of people say we have similar styles of content, and it's funny that we have similar names as well. So Scott, man, I want to say thanks for coming on to the show. How you doing today,
man?
Brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for inviting me on. Like you said, we started talking a couple weeks ago and just going back and forth. I think probably because I called you out in that one video for you stealing my name, and then started going back and forth. And I had no idea you had that AMA coming up with Forex, so that just ended up working out. And then so it's good to connect with you now, right off the heels of that, because that was a great AMA, and we can get to discuss it and just get to sync up and, like you said, vibe out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Look like we got the drip community strong. A lot of people still coming in from different parts of the world. We got Crypto Junkie, greetings from Ireland. I mean, look how crazy the community is of drip, man. I mean, there's nothing like it. We got Driptopia, huge fan of his content as well. Yoey. So Scott, man, I know you got into drip a little bit earlier than myself. And so before we kind of just start to dig in, and you can ask me questions as well, like how I got into drip. But I got into drip back in the last week of February. I think it was the 22nd of February. But okay. I think you got in what was it, December?
Mid-December, yep.
So kind of talk before we get into really drip, for the people that may not know who Scott the Investor is, kind of just give us a brief overview of who Scott is, and then we can kind of just dig into some content here.
Sure, man. I've been doing investing and stuff for a long time. Got really into like stock options there for a while. I still trade a little bit, do a lot of futures. So I got into investing kind of early on, started doing some real estate, and then switched my name up on IG and just decided to like try to personify what I was growing into, so that's where Scott the Investor actually came from. But I've been doing all sorts of different investment strategies for probably close to the last decade. I had this YouTube channel up where I would talk a lot about trading stuff. So if you go back and look a year and a half ago, a lot of those older videos are just me talking about different stock option strategies and things like that, little clips from my little education business that I set up about stock options. And in it would have been early summer of last year, I got turned on to the DeFi space and started doing like some different miners and some different farms and stuff, kind of got into it. And I had a friend reach out to me, and she was in a lot of this stuff too. And she said, "Hey, you should look into drip." So I looked into it real quick, and it was paying out 1%. And a lot of the stuff I was doing was like way more high risk, paying between 7 and 17%, some of these miners and stuff that quick in, quick out, just straight up Ponzi schemes. But if you played them right, you could be profitable in them. And so I looked over at that just real quick. I'm like, man, 1%. I'm like, if I'm getting 7% over here, like there, it's going to take me 100 days to get my money back. Like, I just don't think things can last that long. I did not dig into the tokenomics of it at all. And I really regret it, because many months later, when the price was way higher, she got in. She was trying to get me in at $7. So I was like, I wasn't into it, because 1% just didn't seem like enough, because I figured contract balance would go up and then just drain like all these other ones did.
And we're so spoiled in crypto too,
Yeah, for sure.
APRs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was what I thought mostly DeFi was. I hadn't seen yet a sustainable project, so I was just cash in, cash out. That was my style. So finally, I started doing some research, and I'm like, this is nothing like I thought it was. Like, I really should have got into this earlier at $7. So I made my first big purchase right around 50, 55. Then I DCA'd in for over the next few weeks. So my initial in the first 3-4 weeks, I had about 10 grand in. And yeah, I made my first deposit December 12th, the evening of December 12th. And then I just been compounding since. I didn't plan to build the team when I got in. I got in and I was in for a few weeks, and I had a buddy over here. We were working on some stuff together, and he's like, "What is this?" Because he saw the water screen and all that, and I was like, "Oh, this is an investment I'm in." He's like, I want to try it out." So showed him how to do it, got him in. He went in big, came in with like 25 grand, like 2 days later. And then he started telling people about it, and I started telling people about it. So I got 20, 30 people, just friends and family, that were interested. I was posting about it on social media. And anytime a chart goes up and to the right, everybody wants to get in. So
Yeah.
a bunch of people flooded in. But as you know, when you first get this stuff set up and you're like doing a MetaMask and everything, it takes forever. It takes forever to set up. So teaching newbies who have never even bought a crypto before how to get MetaMask, how to open like a crypto.com account, get BNB, program it to the Binance Smart Chain, do other. It was taken between normally on average like 2 to 3 hours per person to set up. And one of my buddies is like, dude, you have to just create a YouTube video so you can direct people to that, So I did that, and it got like 19,000 views. And then I was like, well, looks like I'm going to start creating drip content from here on out.
For sure, man, for sure. So for me, there was a guy who reached out to me on Instagram back in January. And it was like the beginning of January. And he was like, a real supporter of my content. Goes by 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗗𝗙𝗢𝗡. I shouted him out in the last crypto video. So shout out to him. And when he first reached out to me, I was like, yeah, I'm not too interested. Because when I first heard, I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I think that's kind of like almost the first response that almost everyone had when they first hear about drip, until they really start to dig into the ecosystem and really like figure out the mechanics. So, I mean, it's understandable when new people come in and say, oh, how is this sustainable? How does this work? Right. And so with all that being said, I was like, okay. I started looking into drip, started watching guys like you, Stunner Breezy, Beach Office, Crypto Kings, and honestly, all of you guys. I was watching all of your content because everyone puts it out there in a different way. And sometimes somebody may say something different that peaks that light bulb, like, oh, that makes sense. And this is why it's good to hear different perspectives. And that's why when I made the very first drip video, I didn't get a chance to shout out everyone because I forgot there's so many great drip YouTubers out there. But shout out to all of them. And I wanted to pay homage to you guys because you guys have been putting out content way before I got into drip, and even people that maybe got in before you got into drip, like Stunner, Ray, Thomas G, all of those wells, right? And so I wanted to pay homage to those people to not to come in here and say, hey, I'm just going to make drip content. It's just, no, I believe in the project. I believe in the community. And then not only that, I wanted to pay homage to you guys and be like, hey, shout out to these guys because they was here before this first drip video. You know what I mean? And then just to be completely honest, a lot of people's like, Mike, why aren't you putting your buddy address in the comment section? Well, to be completely honest, I didn't make this content to grow my team, to get referrals. It's to show the people that, hey, there's ways out here to make passive income, right? There's always risk for everything. Everything has an expiration date, including Bitcoin. In the next 30, 40 years, there's going to be a new technology that replaces crypto. Everything has an expiration date. The question is, as investors, are we going to take advantage of the opportunity while it's here?
Exactly.
So anyway, I kind of elaborated a little bit, but I wanted to touch on this on live so people can really just see the emotion, to see where I'm coming from. And shout out to Pineapple Steph, coming a new member, super big supporter. She has great energy. Shout out to her. And so one thing I want to say as well is I got into drip February 22nd, started watching content. And one thing that piqued my interest, I was watching you guys hydrate sometimes, showing your account. But 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏, he actually sent me a video, say, Mike, this is how much my account is right now. I'm going to hydrate. The next day, he sent me another video, screen record, say, hey, Mike, I'm going to take this out just to show you this is not a scam. So I was like, okay, all right. So then I started doing more research. Then I put in a very small deposit. I said, hey, let's see how this works. I put in, I think it was 500 February 22nd, 23rd, let a week go by, compounded to see how the system worked. And then came March 1st, I said, I'm going to go all in, put
Yeah.
5K in. And then, of course, I put a lot more in since then. Like about 14K is what I got invested, and started with, I think, like 50 drip. Now I'm over, of course, dollar cost average, of course, but full transparency. And this is one thing about the drip community. We don't have a problem showing this. You can't find this in too many crypto spots. And I know you just reached
Crypto
like
or anything.
4,200. Yeah. You just reached
Crypto,
what?
stock market, like people don't like to show their personal accounts. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the thing, I guess, with YouTube and kind of what you and I are doing. We are really trying to tell the story of kind of what this process is. This technology is so new, like this stuff's all brand new. DeFi hasn't even begun to become even remotely mainstream. Crypto's barely mainstream. So, a lot of it is just we're telling our stories. You can actually watch it grow, but anytime we're in a weird project that gets rug pulled or goes sideways, like you see it all, you see all the emotion, you're involved in all of it. Drip community is super strong. The dev is the most proven dev in the space, even though he's always late on his timelines. This is the only platform that's ever been around for this long, continued paying the percentage it started out paying, and made no changes to the contract. So, stuff can be said that it could be better or whatever, but show me something that is better and has lasted this long. There isn't anything. So that's why drip community is strong,
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got about 110K in the faucet. The Dune says we're approaching about 30K people in the drip garden. So you can really see people are starting to get into the garden. And I think you just hit well over 1 million plants as well. So I think that's huge.
Yep, I'm at 1.25 million as of today. And same thing. I just started growing it real small, dollar cost averaged in. Now it's producing, I don't know, 15, 16 LPs a day, which then I can use in the farm. So for me, one thing I want to touch on too, because I know this is going to confuse people because it confused me.
Yeah.
When I first got into drip, and then people started talking about the manor farm and the animal farm and how the pigs and dogs played together and all that type of stuff, I tried to find decent content right out the gate where it explained what the heck they were talking about, like how you could utilize the ecosystem with itself,
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a lot in the beginning. People were talking a lot about it, but not like breaking it down like I'm a 5-year-old, So that's what I tried to do. So I got into Animal Farm later than a lot of people. So I got into the garden late, Animal Farm late. I waited a little while to get into those till I could fully understand them. And then once I figured out how the puzzle pieces went together, I was like, okay, I understand how I can use this to play off of this and make money here. I want to pull BUSD here. I want to pull BNB here. It's all a very fully functioning ecosystem. But I do want to let people know that if you are like starting to understand drip, but you're like, what the heck is this Animal Farm? Don't worry. It's a natural progression. It is kind of a complicated system. Eventually it'll click and it'll make a whole lot of sense to you. But as you can see through this chart, like even though these flow charts are supposed to be really simple,
it's a lot going on.
Pretty complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to do, as I'm showing my journey, I'm going to be touching on what you can do with the garden, because I mean, as we always say, the faucet is the foundation to everything, right? I mean, drip is the whole key to everything. It's the key that makes everything turn. And then you have the drip garden, which is the drip BUSD, which, I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. You can split the pairs, because remember, it's 50-50, right? So you have drip and you also have BUSD. So say, for example, you're taking out $1,000 in profit. Well, 500 of that's in drip, 500 that's in BUSD. If you want to just take that profit, you could take that BUSD, don't even have to convert it because it's already in a stable coin. And then you can take that drip, put it back into the faucet, or you can put it into the farms or the pools. I mean, there's so many, or you could just keep the LP the way it is, put it into, actually, let me just go to it while I'm talking about it here, man. I mean, this is what we do, right? So let me head over here. So as you can see, this is the Animal Farm, right? And I'm not going to do like a full tutorial, but here's the drip garden, right? You have the drip BUSD LP. Once you start earning these, you can head right over to the farms and you can put it into the drip BUSD farm here, which is going to be a core farm. So it's going to be a really nice APR. You're going to get the drip BUSD. You're going to earn pigs is what you're going to get. You can turn around and there's two things you can do with the pigs. You can either put it into the piggy bank, which is basically the garden on steroids, or you can do the piggy bank, and then you can do the actual pig pen, which will allow you to basically earn share ownership in the actual animal farm, which allows you to earn BUSD so you don't have to actually sell the underlying asset. So this is what's currently here now on top of everything else that's coming out, scratchies, the games, and I mean, there's so much coming out. And so this is one thing that I find very interesting. Drip hit an all-time high with half the people we have now, also without all the utility that's coming. So imagine when the market recovers, imagine when all the things starts to come out and start rolling on full cylinders, what happens for the drip ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the price chart and you're familiar with the timeline of how when everything spiked, originally, if you watch the chart spikes, you've got when the 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗕𝗢𝗢 token became a utility for team building, you had a nice little boost there. Then Manor Farm came out, then the Animal Farm came out, and everything just rallied, and that was just on the hype of what was to come. And then, of course, we had, an exploit of the contract. Everything had to get shut down. PancakeSwap switched the way they do their syrup pools. So we had to change the way we did the dogs. It elongated the delay. And I think, and this is a little bit of a deep dive, but I think that Forex leaned into the delay, knowing that he could have just fixed the dogs contract to match the new syrup pool, contract or whatever. He could have just done that probably within a few weeks and then got everything back open. But the market was tanking. So while the market's tanking, it's not really the best time to just launch a new platform. So I think what he did is said, well, if it's going to go down, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to develop, like, let's build some new games. Let's throw some extra stuff on there. Let's get further down the road with Scratchy. So when we relaunch, all this stuff is fully functioning. And as you could tell from your AMA, I mean, he rattled off all the things that are going to be ready first week of October. He's dropping, 80% of it in the first week of October. And then shortly after that, you've got new UI, you've got Scratchy, you've got all these other utilities coming out. So if Drip was able to survive this long, and a lot of it is attributed to the strong community with basically no utility and nothing but bad news, a bear market and a bunch of pauses in the animal farm. I mean, it was pretty much all bad news. If it was able to survive this long, you're right. What happens when the crypto market itself starts to turn around a little bit? Animal Farm's live, Scratchy goes live, everything starts moving in the right direction, and you see just some positive price action. Because the average investor doesn't look at buying value. They're not, hey, I think the value is higher than the price, so I'm buying the dip. The average investor waits for everything to just rally, and as soon as they see a chart that's going crazy, that's when they want to get in,
Right, for sure. I agree. And I'm gonna pull the chart up. I was working on some while you was filling us in, but I just want to show you some here. Pull up the drip chart. Now, of course, this isn't financial advice, but don't this look very similar? Check this out. This is the drip chart, right? And of course, it's not going to show the full all-time chart because this isn't the native DEX drip BUSD. This is the drip BNB pair. So look at this here, and you can see we completely consolidated, accumulated, and I'm happy I was buying here as well. Like, I bought at $94, right? Put $5,500 in at $94, and I'm still up on my position because of compounding, right?
Compounding gains, man. And you like you said, you don't even really share your referral code. I wish you did, though, because you just get some benefit from the content, and then you can always kick that back to the people on your team. So it does help, like, from a team building aspect. It's nice to be able to do these little giveaways. It gets like people involved, and they want to watch the content to see what the new contest is. So I would say, if I was going to nudge you, I'd say consider, even though you're just putting the content out to educate people, but consider dropping it in there somewhere, even if you don't even mention it, and say, hey, sign up under my team, even if it's just there so people who like the content can find it and sign up under you. I just think you deserve it,
I appreciate it. There's people that even, like, some of the admins of, like, the main Telegram channels, like, Mike, we love your content, but dude, why aren't you putting your buddy address for the garden or the false? I'm like, man, honestly, there's already so many great YouTubers out there. Let them get it, because I want to show people as well, you don't need a team to win in this ecosystem. Yeah. And so that's another reason why I'm doing it. I want to show people you can go solo dolo and still win, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a great idea.
One thing. That's one of the main reasons, right?
I don't know if you saw 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥's video, maybe like a month ago now. Time's flying, but he did one where he was kind of he goes back and forth with a couple of big whales in the back end in Telegram, and one of them sent him a screenshot, and he only had like 2 people on the team, or it was like nobody, right? But he had a maxed out wallet or close to maxed out, and I think that's just super good proof that that 1% compound interest over time. You can max a wallet out. You really don't need the referrals. You need time in the market rather than timing the market. So if you got in last summer, I mean, you're already in a maxed out wallet. Even if you got in with just like 50 drip or whatever, by now you should basically have it maxed out. So yeah, you don't need to build a team. So that'll be a good example. Like, hey, I don't really have very many team members. Pretty much did this alone. Look at my maxed out wallet A. But when you start up your team too, you should build a team.
Well, to be honest, man, I mean, if people paid attention to the very, very last video, I already got a second wallet created. Now, I'm not going to show that one publicly. Can't show everything, of course, but I already have a second wallet created. I already got a few other things that's taken care of in the drip ecosystem. But this, I wanted to show people like, hey, whoever wants to come along with my journey. And it's not like, shout out to the whales, right? Because they had to start somewhere. But a lot of people can't relate to that immediately when they see 100,000+ account, 200,000+ account. So me starting with 5K, then going to 10K, then 14K, it's a little bit more relatable for people that's watching the content, which makes them feel a little bit more apart. And this is why I kind of wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, 100%. It's a good journey. And YouTube is about like, you got a ton of subscribers, and a lot of it's just about you're showing people your journey. It's very real. So when people are in a similar situation, like I could throw in 5K right now, it's doable. Then they connect with you a lot. When people watch some of these whale accounts and they're hydrating $12,000 and all that, like sometimes it's not as super relatable to a lot of people. So that's why on YouTube, it's important to just kind of start telling your story. Like, even if you're, I see some of these guys start on their YouTube channels first, they don't show their face. Then they got, they got the laptop, terrible lighting, then things just get a little bit better. Their content gets more developed. Their team starts to grow, they get a little more confident behind the camera. Part of that is admirable because it's real. It's real life. Like a lot of us everyone had to start somewhere, and it was always garbage in the beginning, and then you just got a little better at it. Your investment gets a little bigger. It's just all part of natural growth. So to show that on camera, people can really relate to it, and then they want to follow down that same journey because they realize like I can start exactly where he did. I'm just like 6 months behind, and then I could be where he's at now. It's just how it goes,
Yeah, for sure. You done revved it up, Scott. Now you got 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥. You got
Yeah, be prepared for the comments. Team 2 has got to be a team building one.
Yeah, but man, and honestly, let me show you here, because a few people I got on the team now are a few family members, and then some of the people that's a part of the Patreon. Now, as you can see, I only got 69 rewards out of the 1,936. Most of this I've already sent back, and after Sunday's airdrop that I do to them, can't talk right now. I will be basically airdropping like 20 back to the team. So this will be well over pretty much what I've already given back to them. Let me show you here real quick. So you can see received about 53, airdropped I've sent 37.
Pop it up on the screen. Pop it up so we can see it real quick.
Bad.
You're good.
Boom, boom, boom. There we go.
There you go.
So let me head back up here. So you can see I only got about 69 drip that I received, right? Out of the well over 1,900 that I put in compounding and dollar cost averaging. Received 53. I've sent back over half, and after tomorrow's it'll be about 57. So pretty much for the most part, everything I've even gotten, I've sent back. And I'm doing this on purpose. I mean, to show people like, hey, you can win. There's enough out here for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to show $1 million account, but how many people can relate to that and get there? You know what I mean? So it's about motivating and showing other people that, hey, we can all get there.
It's true. And I mean, that's ultimately, I think that's what 𝗬𝗥 has in mind with projects like these. He's trying to figure out how to help people become financially independent through these new, completely untapped categories. DeFi is just crazy new. And if he does it right, and there's no reason that all of us shouldn't believe that 𝗬𝗥 is a fully trustworthy individual who's just bad at timelines. This guy could have pulled hundreds of millions, more than 500 million
if
out
you
of
wanted to.
the contract and bailed, like every other dev probably would have in this space.
Yeah.
That most of them would have, right? There's honest devs out there. But to even think that he is in any way dishonest, if there was a dishonest bone in his body, he would have pulled that money and he would have been sitting on an island somewhere with $500 million. He doesn't need this money. He really, I think, wants to cement himself as the godfather of DeFi, the guy who created the first really truly successful ecosystem. And then, who knows what will come. Like you said, this will sunset eventually. Drip will go away. The animal farm will be a thing of the past. Maybe it's the foundation that future DeFi projects are built on. But for the time being, for the foreseeable future, 𝗬𝗥 is the most accomplished dev in the space as far as I'm concerned. And he's the gold standard. So.
Well said, well said. And like he said, and I don't like to say this, but 𝗬𝗥 even mentioned in one of his previous AMAs, even if I die, drip is still going to go on because it's the code, it's the community, it's how the mechanism works, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the entire ecosystem. The powers are in the hands of the community, truly. You know what I mean? Like 𝗬𝗥 isn't really looking to get drip on no top 10 exchange. He doesn't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's for the people and people that truly understand like true DeFi. And this is like not a knock to any YouTubers, but some people call like certain cryptos DeFi because they may start off decentralized or they may support decentralization. That's not really true DeFi. Like true DeFi is like the drip ecosystem and decentralized finance at its core. Like that's true DeFi. And so,
true DeFi for sure. I'm 100% with you. I think people confuse DeFi too. They're like early on in projects or when things are developing, if there's little tweaks that are made, that's not the decentralized finance. It's like, well, first off, the individual, just like Satoshi had to do with Bitcoin, has to create it. So there's going to be pivots and everything to create the fully functioning ecosystem. Then you have to make the contract immutable, and then from then it's handoff. You can build layer 2s on top of that, like they're about to do with the drip ecosystem. So there's like a new reservoir, gamification, and all that. But you can't change the original immutable contract. So I know a lot of things are changing with the animal farm right now, but once it's done, I guarantee that 𝗬𝗥 will box that thing up, create it, make it immutable, and then that thing will live on forever, for better or worse. So that's decentralized finance. People just need to realize that it has to be centralized while it's been being created, and then it gets locked down. And that's the true nature of what DeFi hopefully eventually will be. And that's why the large banking systems of every major country are not going to be happy with it, because it takes the power away from the big banks, gives it to the little people, and you can actually truly be financially free and frankly live off the grid as long as the internet's still running.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. We got about 125 people in the chat right now. Definitely go ahead and smash that like button. Share this out as well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And also, if you are new to the show or if you're part of the community, give Scott the Investor a subscribe. His channel is linked in the description. So definitely go ahead and support him. He gives super great content. He's talking about DeFi. So if you like making money while you sleep, you definitely want to go ahead and look at Scott the Investor here. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen just for a little bit. I know he's trying to get to that 3,500. So let's see if we can help nudge him there just a little bit.
Love it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so we got one question down here in the comments. 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥 says, how long will I get 1% a day for the faucet? Is it for 365 days, only for, or for as long as the contract exists for? Well, it's based off of, there's a couple ways you can take that question. So it's up to 1% a day, 365%, right? So, and that's per account. So each account also has a max account of 100,000 drip that can be taken out. So it's up to 365% each time you add a deposit. However, it's up to 100,000 as far as the max account. So hopefully that makes sense without like talking about all of the mechanics. If you want to jump in on that or touch on that.
Let me clarify even further. So when you make your initial deposit, say it's $1,000 into the faucet, that deposit will pay you out 1% a day for 365 days, so 1 year. Now, as you get that 1%, if you want to take that 1% that you earned for the day, so that'd be what, $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you want to put it over into if you put it back in that's a new deposit. that new $10 you just moved over will now pay you out for 365 days. So every time you hydrate or recompound, that is a new deposit, because that was your money that wasn't in the system anymore that you could have just taken out. But now you're redepositing it. It's extending that. And that'll pay you out for a max, like you said, of 100,000 tokens. So depending on how much you put in, I mean, I think if you start with one drip, I don't know what the math is off the top of my head, but you could probably hydrate one drip for 2.5 years and you have a maxed out wallet. Or if you put it 1,000 drip, that'll happen a lot sooner. So it just depends on your initial deposit.
I have a little fun here. So I believe, before I do it, I believe it's 1 drip is 3 years, 30 drip it's 2 years, and I believe 100 or 1,000 drip it's only 1 year. So let's see. Oh, hold on. Let me put the price at just a $10 drip. We're gonna start with 1 drip, and we're gonna do. Oh my gosh.
Pretty close.
Oops. So yeah, I mean a little bit over, but 1,081. So that's a little bit over, you know, about 3 years, because 365 days. So
yeah, it's 3 years. Look at that top right hand corner. So 8/11, 2025. So yeah. just under 3 years, barely.
Yeah, just under. And then if you start with 30, I believe it is like right under. Let's see. So if you start with 30 drip, a little bit over 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then 100 days. I mean, if you start with 100 drip, it's like close to 550. Yeah, it's about
maybe like 18 months ish, something like that.
Give or take, yeah, somewhere around there. So I mean, really, this is where the magic really starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's actually less. It's less than a year once you get to 1,000.
I tell people in my videos all the time, like, because I realize like I'm even starting to get a little less relatable. I've got 40, 200 or something like that in my deal, and a lot of people are starting out with 10. I started out, I put a good amount of money in, so I started out with about 150. But people see my balance so high, they don't realize that it's just all this compounding and everything I've done. So I would say, like, even though it seems like maybe people are like out in front of you, once you start to hit those milestones, 100 drip, 100 to 200 goes fast, and that 500 to 1,000 goes fast. Once you get above 1,000 and you're making that many drip a day, it starts to really cruise, and so it's nice. So I would just say, even if you feel like people are so far out in front of you, they might just be like a couple months out in front of you. You just got to compound every day.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I had some I was gonna say. Oh, what price was drip when you actually bought in, Scott? Because I know you put in a bigger investment.
Yeah, first couple of days, I put in, it was between 50 and 55. That was like my first. And the reason I made all my deposits and like sporadically is I had a lot of my B&B tied up in these B&B farms and miners and everything. So they were paying me out daily. So I was pulling chunks out every day and then buying
Smart.
more. I made a bunch of deposits as I was pulling the money out of there. So I DCA'd, but it was on the way up, So I bought all the way up. I was still DCAing. Even when it hit like 150, I bought like a couple of them, just to keep adding to the bag, because you never know if that's going to go to 300, 500. You just never know. So that's about that's about where it was. My average price now, I couldn't even tell you. I made a lot of those purchases without tracking them. Unfortunately, I should have, but if I had some B&B, I'd just buy a couple. And but I probably got about 12,500 in there. I've spent a few thousand since then, and then I got a bunch of money in the garden and the piggy bank and all that type of stuff too. So throughout the ecosystem, I'm well over 15.
Okay. So man, we're about close then what we've put into the system, just different prices.
Yeah, exactly. Which is super interesting, because, and like you said, you're just a couple months behind me as far as compounding. Like, we'll be in a really similar position. It starts to grow so fast. And that's the most interesting thing about this investment to me is the way the ecosystem works is, if you're a guy who can only afford 5 drip, and then you can hydrate, you can still hit a maxed out wallet.
Right.
Like if I'm a whale and I want to come in with 100K right now, I can, and I'll get to my maxed out wallet faster. But depending on what the price is when I have my maxed out wallet and I'm selling, maybe by the time you max out your wallet, the price is even higher. So you actually make more ROI off your initial investment than I did. So it's just speed, and with DeFi and these projects, you want to try to, sooner is better, right? They're not going to last forever. But I think with the changes, and this is off on a little tangent, but I think with the changes that have happened just now and the stuff that's about to launch and the rest of the roadmap that Forex has, not including the security stuff that he wants to do and not including the lending, I think this stuff extended the life of Drip for like another 2 years, another 24 months out of Drip, just with what he's put in place. If you get to the point to where lending is a real thing and you can loan off of your peer-to-peer lending off of your faucet balance, so you don't ever actually have to sell the asset, that will memorialize Drip as the king forever, because that'll just be wild. And the price, it's too hard, it's so crazy, it's too hard to predict what the price would be at that point if you never had to sell your Drip, but you could take a $500,000 loan off of it, go buy a rental property. It's unfathomable of how bullish that's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. And just to see everything roll out, like how he says things are going to roll out like the next couple of weeks. So we got the Ray Barter thing. He's going to go on, I think it's next week, Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he gives like the announcement for the actual launch date, which we know is first week of October. So I think that's going to be bullish for the community and the ecosystem. And then from there, they're going to start their actual marketing and things of that nature. So really just to see, like, we're really like calm before the storm. Because as I said before, again, look where Drip went before all of the people that's in the community now and everything that's getting ready to come out layer by layer and unfold. This is just crazy within itself.
It's just like a stick of dynamite with a long fuse, and we've especially the YouTubers that have been really making content for a while. Some of us have some professional investing experience. Some of us are just like a little more well-versed and less emotional than some of the YouTubers out there. But we've been telling people this stuff goes in cycles. You're going to have these big pullbacks. Like there's a reason this is happening, and it's okay. It's not a time to panic. If you believe in the project, then then the price doesn't really matter. Eventually everything will get sorted out and it will come back. I always said, like, when the prices were going down, I wouldn't be selling at this price anyway. Like right now, if I wouldn't be selling at this time anyway either. Right now, if the price was $60, I still wouldn't be selling. I'm trying to get closer to that maxed out wallet and really leverage the ecosystem the way it's supposed to be used. So whether it's $10 or $50 right now, my mindset shouldn't be any different, because I wasn't going to sell either way. I'm not going to let that emotional upswing, I'm so excited about the price, allow me to just start hitting the claim button when I wouldn't have done that anyway. So for me and all these people that have been in the ecosystem and purchasing and investing, but feeling the heartache of these prices lowering, they got to ask themselves, like, would you be selling right now anyway? Or was your goal originally to wait 6 months or a year and then start to have life-changing gains? And so some people just need a good lesson in investor mindset and controlling their emotions, because as soon as money gets involved, all of a sudden you think you're real strong and you got your emotions in control. But once you start seeing prices swing up and down, all of a sudden you're either really excited or really depressed and your fingers on the sell button. So it's a good lesson for people to learn. And in crypto, the stock market, a 20% swing up and down is major and it's painful. The same swing in the crypto market's 90%. So you got to have thick skin.
Definitely. It's definitely not for the faint of heart by any means. And so one thing I want to say about Drip and just the ecosystem within itself. With Drip is there's one thing, and this is just kind of like a shift of change where I've kind of been I've always been into passive income. When I even got first started in investing, I started in the stock market, and I was real big on investing in only dividend stocks because I was real big on always making passive income. Cash flow's king. And so from that point, switched over to crypto in March of 2020, took everything out that I had in the stock market so I made really good money though. I had, Microsoft, Apple, all of the big stocks, but had really nice profit in them, took those out, and I went all into crypto. And so in March, though, in 2020, I got into crypto back when Bitcoin was like 3 to 5K. I bought Ethereum at $142, took profit at 3,100, did pretty well, and a
Yeah.
few other things. Now there's still cryptos I'm holding today, like Chainlink, XRP, XLM, a few others I did well on. But the reason why I'm saying all this, there's nothing wrong with having long-term holds, right? But it's another thing, like, for example, I have nice positions in Chainlink, XRP, Link, and a few others, but I have gains in them still, even with the market down. But however, what are they actually doing for me? They're not producing any cash flow. I still have to kind of wait. So there's always a risk with every strategy you're doing in investing. Whether you're buying and holding, waiting to take profits, there's a risk. Whether you're investing in DeFi, high risk, there's a risk. Whether you're not investing, there's a risk. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to hold this for 10 years. But let's be real. We don't know where the next 10 years are going to be, right? I don't know if I'm going to be here the next 10 years. I definitely plan to be, but at the same time, we have to be realistic. And so this is one thing I always say. You can have somebody who has $1 million, right? But they still can't live the life they want to live. Why? Because they don't actually have the cash flow. So they're not going to really spend that money and enjoy it because they're trying to keep it. Whereas you can have someone who maybe have a $500,000, but brings in 20 to 40K a month in cash flow. They can enjoy and live life exactly how they want to. And quite frankly, if they save enough, they're going to get $1 million anyway because of the cash flow. And this is how I think. And so I really shifted my mindset to investing in pure cash flow, because regardless what the market is doing, up or down, if you're in drip, you're getting paid. If you don't like Forex and you're in drip, it doesn't matter. You're still getting paid. And that's the power of this ecosystem. And so this is what I wanted to talk about. Anything you want to add to that, Scott?
100%. I think people don't get it because it's a new space and it's just like a new topic for them. So they just like don't understand. But you got to think about it in the same terms as you think about real estate, because everyone understands real estate. I want to purchase a property. So let's say I purchase a property for 300 grand and I fix it up. Now it's worth 400 grand. I could sell it and say my net profit is the full 100,000. I could take that but I'd also eat the capital gains. But that's the short-term thinking mindset behind investing. What would be better is if you can leverage that initial purchase and then use it as a rental property and get monthly cash flow, and never have to sell your original asset. And of course, in the real estate market, you get the benefit of depreciation and you get the benefit of the increase in the price of the home. You get a lot of tax write-off benefits. So there's additional utility to that for you to keep it. But that's how the rich stay rich. Now, how the rich get even richer is now that asset is worth more. So the asset is worth 500,000 now in a couple of years. Now, what they do is they say, I'm not going to sell it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refinance that, get a lower rate, take 80% of that capital back out, and I'm going to go buy another rental property and do it again. So that's how people need to think of these DeFi investments that kick them out, standard daily dividends or whatever it is, standard APYs, is you can hold the asset and then it's still paying you every day. And if Forex gets the lending down to where you ever need to sell it, you're basically just refinancing your lump sum. You can take that out tax free and then utilize it to leverage on another investment. So it's just a really early example of utilizing technology to match a system that's been happening in the real estate world for a couple hundred years.
Yeah. And how we're talking about how early we are. I made a tweet earlier today. I want to show you this, Scott. And it's basically talking about all the crypto owners that are in the space. And we got about 7.5 billion people, give or take, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
320 million people plus people in crypto. We haven't even hit 500 million out of the 7.5 billion people. I mean, look how early we truly are.
It's crazy. If you look too, there's another chart out there. You might even be able to look it up. But if you look at the curve, the chart of internet adoption, how fast it took people to adopt on the internet and get faster and faster, it correlates exactly to the chart of cryptocurrency. You lay them over the top of each other, and the adoption rate of cryptocurrency is the same as the internet. People just thought it was going to be a fluke. It wasn't a big thing. Even some of the major players right now that are like running major VC firms and stuff like that, that are much older now, their original quotes were, it's just some fun toy that's going to go away. The internet's not going to be a thing. And then those same people and those same type of people were saying the exact same thing about cryptocurrency 10 years ago. Like, this is just funny money. It's not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure they're wrong. Technology never reverses. So it's not that Bitcoin is the thing or whatever. It's blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, how it all ties together. And it eventually will change the landscape of finance and how we do contracts just in general. Like, if I sell you a car and I give you the title, I could fake that title.
Yeah.
But if that title is an NFT or tied to the blockchain, it's impossible to duplicate. I can see, well, you didn't own it last. You can't sell it to me. So eventually car titles, home deeds, all that stuff will be like a transfer of an NFT. It's, non-fungible. You can't copy it. So I will hand this over to you, and now you own that asset.
Yeah. And here's the chart you was talking about. I mean, look at that growth.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I would say, if you're in the traditional side, there's been so many things that's been handwriting on the wall. BlackRock. You have Fidelity. I mean, all the top management firms and companies are in crypto. The last year, the firefighters, they started putting their pension in crypto.
Right.
You had the whole Roth ROI, the pension money started with the retirement, where a lot of the wealth still is. People just can't spend it because it's locked up in retirement accounts, have started putting their money into crypto. And this was, I believe, announced late last year, if I'm correct. So, I mean, you could just see where things are going with crypto. Now, of course, we're in DeFi, and I still feel like crypto's the Wild West, but DeFi is the Wild West, in my opinion. So, I mean, it's still a lot of money that can be made in crypto. And I just believe we're still so early, in my opinion.
We are. Just with crypto and anything else, I mean, just crypto's like, in a lot of ways, especially all the smaller stuff, it's like investing in penny stocks. You're investing in a company that's brand new. It could take off and you could make crazy gains, or it could sputter out. And so 9 out of 10 of these cryptocurrencies that pop up, they're going to eventually sputter out. They don't have technology that's proprietary enough to like change the game like Ethereum did and smart contracts and all that. So a lot of those are going to sputter out. But time will tell you, if you do enough research on those projects and then you just dump a little bit of risk capital into several of them, eventually a front runner will come out and you'll make a bunch of money. I mean, and sometimes it's for a good reason, like Ethereum was for a good reason. And sometimes it's hype. Shiba Inu, a lot of people became millionaires from Shiba Inu,
Yeah.
and there's no real utility there, right? Dogecoin, all that type of stuff. So it's definitely the Wild West, and there's a lot to come from it. But I just think, coming back to the drip talk, I just think that drip is like the one project that we just happened to fall on with, by God's good grace to like get into, because it's just really proving itself out. And even through all the turmoil, it's hanging in around $9. And I'm just excited to see where this thing goes. I think it's going to be the game changer for a lot of us that we never knew was even out there. We're so early on. I think people in 10 years are going to go, you got into drip back in, 2021, 2022. Yeah. And just kind of like Bitcoin, if you got into Bitcoin way back when, it's like, whoa, it's kind of a blast from the past. And all those guys made good money. I truly think that 10 years from now it'll be that nostalgic moment. Like, yeah, I got into early drip and I went to 2000 and lasted for 6 years, and now it's evolved into something else. And, drip's going to change a lot of lives. I truly do believe that. Otherwise I wouldn't report on it. I don't like reporting on projects. I like the transparency. I don't like reporting on projects that I just think I could make some quick money on. That's not really my thing. If I'm talking about them, I want my videos to be really descriptive, the pros and cons. You make your own decision. If people want to get in, I want them to like understand the investment and think it's good too. Or if not, like, wait for the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And again, if you are a part of the stream today, thanks for tuning in. Me and Scott appreciate it. Please subscribe to his channel. It is linked down in the description. We got about 160 people watching. Let's go ahead and get Scott moved up to 3,500.
I appreciate that. We're getting there.
We're getting there. The community is strong, man. The community is strong. And
It's
so
crazy. Like I was telling you earlier, man, it's just like I'll post drip video and it just blows up. Like there's 250 comments and 400 likes, and it's like with the amount of subscribers I have, it isn't that many, right? About coming up on 3,500. With the amount of subscribers I have,
you got
you'd
real good
expect,
engagement though, man. You got
yeah,
hella good
yeah,
engagement.
yeah, you'd expect 20 likes, but the engagement is so good with the community. And I just think that's what's supporting the price. Everybody's all about this, and they think it's going to last long term, and they're all about taking this road together. But it's big. I mean, we've got 165 people watching the stream right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's all thanks to the people. And there's one thing you said that kind of triggered some I wanted to touch on. You had mentioned that Drip could be here because, granted, we don't know how long Drip is going to be here. Drip's going to be here for however long Drip is here, right? And so the last thing you want to do is be one of those people that, let's say, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, and you say, man, I'm not getting in Drip because I don't think it's sustainable. And you see all these people get rich, right, from Drip in that time that you waited. And then you finally get into Drip and then it ends.
Yeah.
You don't want to be one of those people. And
No.
one of the sayings that we hear all the time is, if it's too good to be true, stay away from it. Well, I'm gonna debacle that because I think that's in some ways, it's a toxic and poisonous mindset. Yes, you want to be extremely careful and not just jump into anything. Absolutely. But at the same time, if it's always too good to be true, you would never find an opportunity that can change your life. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to do our own education and our own vetting and assessments on what we plan to do, depending on what our strategy or what our journey is. Some has families, some don't. So there's a lot of different variables that affect how we do things in life.
I'd say not all opportunities are created equal. 1% of those opportunities, the cost compared to the value, the risk reward ratio is way skewed. And if this is one of them, let's just say this is too good to be true. But how much would you be willing to lose? Like, would you be willing to throw $500 in an investment that looks too good to be true, and so you could maybe lose the $500? And then if it turns out it makes you a ton of money, and you're like, wow, I'm glad I took that gamble. Sometimes you got to look at opportunities and think what could happen, and then what am I risking? Like, if I'm putting into this investment and I mortgage the house and I'm risking losing my house, this is not a good investment. But if I'm risking something that I would spend on a few dinners, or money I would blow on maybe just like one vacation, then you got to start to look at a little bit further, right? This is a lucrative investment. Then you got to start to look at the history and deep dive a little bit more. Okay, it's been around for a really long time. The community is extremely strong. Price action right now has been relatively stable considering the downturn in the market. You start to add those things up and you go, okay, the risk reward ratio is in my favor. I'm dropping 500, I'm dropping 1,000, whatever, because I know that it's not going to change my lifestyle. But if the investment works out, it will change my entire financial future, and likely the financial future of my children.
No, for sure, for sure. And so I want to go to this real quick while we're live as well, so people can really kind of grasp what's going on.
Let's do it.
Because remember, when you put in Drip, you can't take out that initial deposit right away. It's only that 1%. And so me, in the faucet within itself, I put in $14K into the faucet, right? So worst case scenario, I could lose that and never see it again. Will it break the bank? No. Still don't want to lose my money. However, I'd be completely fine. And so everyone has to figure out where their risk is, where their tolerance is based off of, their finances. So that 14K, let's just say the end of the year, we got what, 127 days left. Let's just say Drip's at $10 at the end of the year. That 14K is now 65K just on a $14,000 investment. That's paying over $500 a day after the tax. Right.
Yeah. And that's the current, and that's the dollar amount at the end of the year that you're still going to get 3.65 times that.
Exactly. So let's say, I'm going to show you guys my payout day. I think it's, 279 days. So literally the beginning of June, I'll be at payout. So that 14K investment, even at a $10 drip, the all-time high is 197. Even at a $10 drip, that's $250,000, a little over $250,000 over 2,200. That a $14,000 investment turned into. Nothing's guaranteed. But right now, I'm not even talking about if the price went up.
Yeah.
You can see what happens if the price goes up, right? It only really takes a $40 to $45 drip to pull out $1 million after a max account. This is why you want to play with the numbers and figure out where you want to be, right? So the reason why I started putting in more, because the price dropped. The longer I was in the project, I believed in it more. Started listening to more Forex AMAs, watching more videos. I'm always in a Telegram. I never speak, but I'm always in a Telegram watching different alpha drop, watching what whales are talking about. And this is how you find out the best strategies that's for you. And so for me, this is the risk I'm willing to take to make even more money financially. So everyone has to make that decision for themselves. I'm not saying you should do this, but at the same time, for the people that see the opportunity, myself, Scott, and others are putting our journey out there so you guys can see it.
Yeah. And I would say flat out, if the price, let's say, is $10, and then your risk is 10 to 0 if it completely folded up. The likelihood is if the project failed, it would fail kind of slowly. People would drain over time and you'd get a portion of that money back. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this thing's going to really boost up here. But when it comes down to it, you just have to, it has to be risk capital. So if you're interested in getting in, you got to think, am I living on the poverty line to where $100 is going to change it? Then you're not ready to invest. You just need to be watching YouTube videos, educating yourself, do everything you can to get that promotion at work so you can make, $3 more an hour. You need to focus on getting your house in order because you're not quite ready to invest. But if you can afford to drop $100, $200, $300, $500 in, because that won't long-term really affect your lifestyle, then as long as it's risk capital and you're okay to drop it in, knowing that it may never come back, or you may make okay money on it, you may break even, or you may make a tremendous amount of money. If you're okay with losing that money, and I would say this in all of crypto, if you put that money in and you can live with losing all of it, then that's risk capital. And when you look at the potential reward, then it could change your life. So, if you're on the fence and you're like, you know what, I'll blow $200 at the bar with the friends tonight, like you might as well throw that in and then maybe have life-changing gains at some point, take a weekend off of drinking and then, get back to it, start investing. Plus, one thing I noticed that I think is really interesting that I think that people who aren't good investors, like maybe like even some of the people that are watching, maybe they're not in drip, maybe they're not in anything, and they're trying to figure out how to change their mindset to like be a good investor. The delayed gratification from investing sometimes bugs people. We like instant gratification.
Yeah.
So when you get a paycheck and you go out to the mall and you buy yourself something or whatever, it feels good. It feels good buying stuff. I will say that if you've never invested before, once you start investing into something and watching it grow, you get the same retail therapy by investing money as you do spending it somewhere else. Boom, all of a sudden your balance starts going up, or you make a good investment and everything starts climbing up. You get that same dopamine rush as you would for doing retail therapy, but you still have your money there and it's growing. So I would encourage people who have never really got into investments to switch their mindset and get the dopamine rush from dumping money into an investment that's going to be there for you in the future, and not from buying, tangible items that will be gone in a year from now.
Yeah. And that's so key that you said that, because I'm going to relate to something that you do. You work out real fit. And so it's just like when you first started working out, you wasn't always that fit. But I bet when you first started seeing those results, you was like, damn, I'm getting kind of big. I bet you immediately was like, I'm going to the gym again. I'm going to the gym again. And it's the same thing with investments. As you start to see it grow from good behavior, you're like, man, why would I put my money here when I can put it here? And it's just going to tenfold for me. And that's how things really start to change for people. Even if you just start with a little and stay disciplined, when they see the results, people are going to change. That's with anything. That's like if you're eating healthy and you start to feel better, you're like, man, I should have been doing this. And it's with everything in life. Once you start doing it and you see those results, you're going to be like, I got to keep doing it. And it's the same thing with drip. It literally has a built-in discipline factor. Whether you do it or not, that's on that investor. But as you compound, you're going to see the power of what's going to happen.
For sure. Yeah. Imagine if you could, like working out, guaranteed if you went to the gym, you'd get 1% better every day. That'd be amazing. You'd start having some amazing results. You wouldn't see much of it at first, but once that thing started taking off, I mean, that curve just flies up with compounding gains. And with drip, like I said, it's pre-programmed into the smart contract. It will kick you out 1% per day. So as long as you're willing to click a couple buttons to hydrate it, then you're going to get that exponential growth. And that's just like with anything, man. You have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to look toward the end of what the goal is in mind. Because working out, I like it, but there's definitely a lot of days where like I'm beat up and I don't want to go. But my goal, what I'm looking for in the end, is what keeps me going. Same thing. Like sometimes, man, I feel like I could take some of this money out of my account and go do XYZ with it. But the goal in the end is what I really want. So why would I sacrifice the long-term potential of what could happen in my life, investments, working out, whatever, there's just a short-term decision. So drip is going to change a lot of lives, but it's only going to be for the people who are steadfast and calmed down during these times. It didn't sell off at the mid $4 range and everything because they were freaked out. The people who are really calm about it and have a good mindset of investing and building for a long-term future, knowing that it may or may not happen, but if it does happen in any way, it's going to be life-changing. Those are the guys I think they're going to get paid out the most here, that are going to get the most out of this investment, both monetarily, but also mentally.
I agree with that 100%. So we're coming up here on the hour. And so just to touch on, I want to briefly share how I plan to get some ROI back. And then if you want to share as well how you plan to do it, because it's funny, we got similar same name, similar investing amount, similar wallet amount. So it's just crazy, man. And so for me, this is what I plan on doing. And I'm going to touch on it again in the next video I drop tomorrow for drip. For me, for the drip garden, I got less money invested in the drip garden. And we know when the garden pumps, it pumps. And you're getting paid 3% or up to 3% if you're constantly compounding, right? So this is how I'm going to do it as of right now, unless drip just goes completely crazy sooner than expected. This is what I plan on doing. Once I get my ROI from the garden, I'm going to continue to pull maybe once a week to continue to get my ROI from the actual faucet. So that way I don't actually have to withdraw from the faucet and add more days onto my max payout, because I want to get to that as quick as possible. And so I'm just going to keep pulling from the garden and get my ROI that way. So that way I can just continue to keep compounding. Now that's what I'm doing. Not saying you should do that, but that's something I thought about, because now that I have a pretty nice position, before next month's out, I'll be at that 1,000,000 plant milestone as well. So I'll be joining you and the other people on the garden. So looking forward to that. But what you plan on doing, Scott, with your investment? Do you just plan on compounding until you get to that max payout and just pulling out chunks at a time, or what's your strategy?
Yeah, so I think I'm developing my strategy as it goes, and I'm just cleaning it up because I want it to be the most beneficial long term for me. Initially, I'm like, first I was like, I'm gonna ride this thing for 6 months, and then I'm gonna see if I can pull my initial investment. Which would be smart, because then I'm playing with house money.
Right.
But I feel real confident in the project. And like I've said, I'm willing to get burned on the 15 G's I've got in here or whatever. So I'm okay with it. I want it to be life-changing money. So for the garden, what I plan to do, I'm getting pretty close. I might, when I start hitting, like when I hit 1.5 million plants, I may start to take some half days in there, maybe like 2 half days a week, 3 half days a week, just some partial pulls on that, so I don't impact the growth a ton, but I'm still getting a little something out of it. Then I'm going to do one of two things. I may split that LP, and I may just dump that into my faucet and grow that a little bit faster. Yeah. And then I'm either going to take the BUSD and buy some additional BREAP tokens so I can grow that up, or I might use it to buy pigs or dogs. And my ultimate goal here is, as this account grows, it starts growing, getting super fast. I just started up the second one. I want them to kind of offset. So when one maxes out, I got another one that's 4 or 5, thousand drip in the faucet, and then I start another one with 10, and then I build that up. So I've always kind of got one coming right after another. But what I want to do is really understand the animal farm ecosystem. So as I'm making all those gains and I'm making crazy money close to max payout through my faucet, that I go, okay, I could pull this money right now and just pay myself. Or would the better play be to buy some pigs so I can put them in the pig pen and earn that BUSD, right? Buy the rental property with that, and then take the money from it. Or the dogs, which staked in there, will give me B&B, and then I will never have to pay gas fees again because they'll be doing it. So it's going to be a ratio of pay myself maybe like once a week, once it gets up pretty high, and then airdrop the new wallet maybe, and then buy pigs and buy dogs, because ultimately you want to have that faucet churning you out money.
Yep.
You want the pigs in the pig pen to be giving you BUSD, and you want the dogs to be giving you out that BNB. So if you have this fully functioning ecosystem and you're getting, 3 different income streams right there, you don't ever have to go in and buy any more BNB. You've got BUSD that you could just transfer off as a stable coin into your wallet and take it out as fiat. You've got drip churning out. There's a lot of ways to play it. So for me, it's going to be finding the balance of buying pigs and dogs with some of that money, making sure that I'm growing my new account to a certain level, and then keep taking profits for myself. But the first thing I'm going to do, the first time I'm actually going to pull is going to be from the garden, and it's going to be in the next few weeks. I'm going to buy a little more BREAP with it, and then maybe stuff some money into my faucet. I want to show on camera to people what happens when you withdraw, how much it impacts me. So I'm going to make some content on it so they can understand why you want to keep compounding and not pull all the time. And then of course, once drip hits maybe a certain dollar amount, or I get to a max wall out, is when I really start pulling. But I've said before, like, I think drip is undervalued. Pretty much anything under 100. So why would I pull the 50 when I think it's worth 100?
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏 says he's buying dogs for the BNB rewards from the paper hands. There's always going to be people willing to sell. And then one thing I saw as well, man, in the Telegram, maybe about a couple of days ago, and it's very interesting because sometimes, people can get on people for selling drip. Why are you selling at this low? But sometimes, there's people that's in drip all around the world. And honestly, sometimes that may be paying their bills or getting them food. That's what drip is doing. Like, if you ever scroll through the drip testimonial Telegram, you can just see some of the stories in there. It's like, damn, that's crazy. You got a teacher that's been teaching for 10 years, loses his job, has a wife and 2 kids, and didn't have to go back to work for 4 months because of drip. I mean, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's real when you really dig into this space. And one thing that I found very interesting, if you look at some of the biggest YouTubers in the crypto space, 2 million, 1.5 million, 1 million subscribers, and this is not a knock to them, but tell me how many can you find that actually show that they have this money or they're actually doing this with it? You can't really find too many. But if you look in the DeFi space, and the following is substantially less compared to the mainstream of crypto, relevant news and meme tokens, communities, things of that nature. But if you look at the DeFi space and you look at the YouTubers and influencers that's in this space, you can actually see they're actually making money and they can show it to you. That was mind-boggling to me when I started really looking in DeFi like a year ago about the content that's put out there. You can find so many millionaires or close to millionaires, or at least that they're willing to show you. Because I've always look at it this way. If someone's willing to show you this on camera, imagine how much else they may have. Right. So I always look at it that way as well. And so when you look at the DeFi space and you're really trying to get into earning passive income, start looking at YouTubers. Even if they have 500 subscribers, 100 subscribers, you'll be amazed at what you can learn and how much these people are actually really making money. There's nothing wrong with holding and waiting for some to pump, but how many people really get it that way? Not a lot. So this is why I changed my mindset as in investing for cash flow, investing for passive income. I definitely have cryptos I'm holding for long term that I will take profits on. But in the meantime, I'm getting paid as I sleep.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's a different space, and it's good to see people making content and showing their real stuff, showing their real accounts. I watched a video from a YouTuber the other day, and he had right at 500 subscribers, but he had 20,000 drip, and maybe even more. I think maybe he just hit his maxed out wallet. I'm pretty sure that was it. He just hit 27,000, and so it's just crazy. Drip's turned a lot of people into millionaires, or at least given them enough money to change their life. Because for most people, let's say, for some people, 200 grand is a crazy amount of money. And for some people, it's not that much, right? I changed my mindset to where I even think millionaires, that's a short goal to shoot for. You know what I mean? I think, and especially now with inflation and everything, having $1 million now is like having 100,000 back in the day, right? You got to have about 10 million. You're like wealthy, you know? And so I'm always thinking ahead, but let's just say drip makes you 200 grand. For most people, they could take 2 years off work with that money, and then they could work on whatever passion project they have, whatever, because when you get older, man, you don't have time to work on anything because you got to pay the bills. So that thing you really wanted to do, you were really into pottery and you were really good back in college, but you had to get a real job, you know? Imagine if drip makes you 200 grand and you could all day perfect your craft. It may change your life, not just from like a real quick initial monetary standpoint, but give you enough buffer, leeway, and runway to develop whatever you really wanted to do initially. So whether it's the pottery or you just really like detailing cars because you're really into cars and you want to set up a little business for that. So people need to I guess change their mindset to know it's just not all about the money. And if it can at least make you enough to buy you some runway, you could change your entire life and your future happiness level forever, because maybe it gives you a year to just perfect your craft and go do what you always wanted to do before you had to be an adult and get a college degree and have a bunch of debt and try to raise a family.
I agree. I agree. And I want to touch on that just a tad more. Shout out to Driptopian. Have a beer, lads. Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Came over in euros too, so that's
I appreciate that, man. And so, and I kind of just lost my train of thought. There it goes. We've been on the stream about an hour and 11 minutes.
I was talking about what was I talking about? Oh, about just changing your life and being able to do what you originally thought you wanted to do.
So it came back to me. So take it even a step further. Let's say you get 200K, 250,000. Hopefully people know what they need to live off of each month, right? Well, now times that based off of what do you need for the year, right? What do you need? How much does it take for you to live off of the year, right? Let's say it only takes you 30 to 40K to live off of. And you could pay your bills up for the next 3-4 years, enjoy a little bit, and then start to build another business and still have some of that money set up for a goose egg to keep growing cash flow. Like that's how you have to think about it. You know what I mean? Like, so what if you don't have $1 million? And this is me. I'm not going to give numbers because people be, Mike's this. So let's just say you got $1 million, right? Me personally, let's just say $1 million came into my lap. 750,000 of that is going to be put up immediately. I'm not, now the other $250,000, I'm going to enjoy a little. I'm going to use 100K of that to continue to grow cash flow, because if you think about it, you only need a 10X on $100,000 to make another $1 million. I'm going to take that 100K, invest it. The other 150,000 I will use to get business and other things in order and enjoy a little bit. But the other 150K will be put up. People are saying, Mike, damn, you're conservative. No, I'm about living below my means. And whenever I want to walk away from this and disappear, I can do that. And that's the whole goal.
100%. No, I'm with you. If it was me, we'll play the reverse role. If it was me and I got $1 million right now that dropped in my lap, I would probably even be more conservative. I would probably take, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100K to like enjoy. The rest of it will go to investments. And what I would likely do is I would take, so I got 900K left, let's say, I would take about 600K of that, and I would buy a property in a highly sought after kind of touristy area. I would turn it into a high-end Airbnb. Airbnbs, the problem why people don't make money is because they go on the lower end of things, and so they fit in the range that everyone else is in, like $150 a night or whatever. All the people that I know that are my personal friends that are extremely successful with Airbnbs said, wrong method. You want to go in and you want to buy the really nice property, because the people who have money, they start clicking filters and they start clicking, okay, it's got to have a hot tub. I want a pool. I want this. I want that. It's got to sleep 10 people because I'm taking another family, whatever. So when it filters down, all you have is the high-end properties in there, and those guys get paid bank. So most of my friends that do high-level Airbnbs, really luxury Airbnbs, they pull in minimum $10,000 a month in profit. So if you're able to turn that around, eat the cost for a little bit, get everything set up and get it listed, and then churn that out, it's all, you can do it all automated through software. It queues up the maids to come when you know, so you can make it as passive as possible. Then you're now generating from that $1 million, just from like maybe the 800,000 that you had to take to make it super nice, put a pool in, the whole deal. Now you're making $10,000 a month on that. In addition to that, you own the home. So whenever you paid cash for it, so whenever you want to pull that money out in 9 months and do a refi, you can get that money back. And now you're making $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. Now you don't even need a job, and you can utilize the rest to go figure out what you want to do. So that's what I would do with $1 million right now.
Absolutely. Dropping gems in the real estate game there, man. Shout out to Scott, man. And 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗥 appreciate the donation. He said 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗙𝗏s done started something great combo. And one thing I want to do as well is shout out to 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗥. They have a drip store. It's literally just like their name, 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗥. Go check it out. I got some merch coming, so shout out to them. That I'm gonna be rocking in the drip videos, because man, this is me. I'm sink or swim with drip. I'm all in.
I'm with you, man. I got into it unsure about it, wanted to make some videos about my journey, and then I spent crazy amounts of time doing research on this. I'm in a group with like a couple of the top YouTubers, and so we get into some research sometimes about this or that. One of the guys, Drip Coach, Drip Farm, formerly known as Drip Farm for Poverty, I made him change his name. He deep dove into Forex's old telegram and like got all the facts about him when he was young and everything, and pulled it all together. So I've done countless hours of research on this project, and I'm going down with the ship. I think there's nothing besides, I don't think there's anything that's going to crush this project unless some crazy exploit happens. Outside of that, I think Forex is going to make this, it already is, but he's going to make it the gold standard for all DeFi moving forward.
I agree, Scott. And shout out to Lady Mana, Ladies of the Faucet, with the big donation. Ladies of the Faucet, love tuning into you both. Man, Ladies of the Faucet always bring that love. Shout out to them. They are great women in the space.
Thank you, ladies. It's amazing.
So before, man, we've been running for a while. So I guess we can just maybe answer a couple of questions before we get out of here. Is there anything that Scott, you would like the people to know regarding just kind of maybe your journey or crypto itself, or anything maybe we didn't touch on in depth?
I don't know if there's anything in particular that I want them to know. I would say go to my channel and watch all those videos, because I spend a lot of time on them. I try to make videos. Once in a while I make a funny one, but most of the time it's like your stuff, really informative. I'm not crazy high energy, you know. It's a lot of like me just rolling out the facts and how I look at it, and maybe how other people should take a look at it. So I would say most of my thoughts are in there. The one thing that we haven't touched on yet that I kind of wanted to touch on with you, I wanted your opinion on, because I obviously I love the AMA that you have with Forex, was a little bit more just around Scratchy. Like, are you excited for Scratchy, the potential? Like, I'd like people to know that aside from all the stuff we've talked about with the Animal Farm and Drip, we really haven't even accessed the power of what Scratchy is going to end up doing. And I'm just curious, like, how you're feeling about it. Are you going to buy some? Do these guys all know about what Scratchy is? It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. So Scratchy, I think within itself, I think it's beautiful, because if we look how big, and Drip for Poverty, Drip Coach, he did a great job of like breaking down where money could come from, just based off of examples. So shout out to him. But when you look at the lottery business, and when you look at how massive it is, there's projects out there that have lottery, but when you look at an NFT lottery base, whereas everybody's a winner, and it's not just once 24 hours, right? So now you Scott, you got me digging into Scratchies here a little bit. So when you look at Scratchies, look at it this way. You can now buy an NFT. Buy an NFT in the form of a lottery ticket, scratch it off, immediately know if you won. If you didn't win, you can now stake it for a limited amount of time to still earn yield. I mean, how beautiful is that? There's no lottery system that's doing that. You get people that go and buy 100 tickets a week, and what do? They throw them out because they're useless. But now you have the ability just within itself. And we're not even talking about other people being able to use the service as the white label and allowing other communities to interact. And then one thing I liked as well that Forex talked about was the fact that how they're integrating with Chainlink, but also the reason why Chainlink wants to stand behind them is because of anyone that utilizes the Scratchy system and white label system, because it's integrated with Chainlink, is going to support not only Chainlink, but it's also going to support the Drip ecosystem, which makes it beneficial for everything. So I think that's beautiful.
So I had this thought the other day, and it was kind of an aha moment. And I was going to wait for my Forex AMA to share it, but I might as well share it on here. But think about this. This is interesting, right? We are sometimes we go about things in the wrong way. We are actively trying to go out and find projects. This is our little drip project, Forex and the team, just a few of us, actively trying to go out and find influencers and other platforms and all that could utilize Scratchy. Here's the deal. Chainlink likes our idea. They like it a lot, right? They think it's cool. They're about to launch. Guess who Chainlink knows? Everybody, every single platform out there.
They're the largest oracle in the space.
Pretend we incentivize Chainlink to utilize that service, and they could get a percentage for everyone they bring on. So what we do is basically say, hey, it's a white label service. We want you to reach out to your entire portfolio of everyone that uses you, and we'll give you an extra percentage to do that. Chainlink could immediately hit an email and hit 1,000 different projects, the heads of them, because they're already talking to them. They've got a relationship with the heads of those projects. Well, we're over here trying to find the decision maker and work through it and use influencers and stuff. Chainlink, in the click of a button, could shoot this information out and offer up a value proposition to every single cryptocurrency project that they deal with in 2 seconds. So the potential for Scratchy, I think, it's mind-boggling when you think about how big this can get. I mean, just the fact that you're using influencers, and PancakeSwap could use it to give away cake tokens and all this type of stuff. I think even that mindset is kind of small in the way of thinking, when we could leverage big oracles like Chainlink to utilize their Rolodex and bring in 1,000 new projects overnight and incentivize them to do their thing. They get incentivized in the middle as playing the middleman. We've got the white label service. Forex goes down in history. We all get rich.
I mean, that's true. That's true. And there's going to be people that's just going to get rich from the garden. There's going to be people, and honestly, there's people that has more invested in the garden, even though it's more high risk, but that's more invested in the garden than that's actually invested in the faucet. Do I agree with that? I think it's an individual endeavor. However, if you watch my videos, you know what I have more money in. But with that being said, I want to get to a question here. Pro Hexor, please explain in the drip garden about the 3 numbers and what percentage does it means. Well, you have the plant price, you have the contract balance, and then you have your share, right? And your LP. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things to talk about here. So not to make this an extended question, but if you're still watching Pro, break down exactly what you're talking about as far as what it means, because there's quite a few things we can talk about here.
Yeah, let's see. Drip Garden, about the 3 numbers in percents, what it means. It just depends. You're getting up to 3.3% in the garden. Garden's a little tough to describe sometimes because you've always got a rate of decay. So what you're trying to do is continue to compound, which will outrun that rate of decay, and you'll be able to, with utilizing the up to 3%, 3.3%, to outrun that growth. And then you've got those additional LPs that you've gained that you can spend. So the garden behind the metrics, I guess, is maybe a little bit confusing. I do have videos on it. I guess it probably would be best for you to go to my channel and go look at the garden video. It's like a 20-minute video where I talk about every single piece of that. That might be easier than trying to describe it on here, because the biggest thing, the hardest thing for people to understand with miners is the rate of decay, how that affects your investment, and what you need to do to try to outrun the decay. It's just tough to explain in 2 seconds.
For sure. Well, thanks for trying to cover that, Scott, because I mean, there's a lot to definitely go into that for sure.
For sure.
And I would say also watch some of my other videos where I talk about the garden. You probably will get your question answered because I briefly touch on it a little bit, not in detail, but I briefly do touch on it.
Hold up. He responded, Pro Hexer. Nobody knows what those numbers mean. The fertilizer bonus is what you're saying. That's on my list of questions to ask for. Please explain to us. No one that I know of ever in the ecosystem has ever explained that. What I think it is, this is just my theory, is I think fertilizer bonus, what it means is when you have good behavior, that additional, what do you want to call it? That additional leverage, or it's giving you additional speed to help you outrun the decay. So I think if those numbers are higher, it means that you're battling the decay better. As you start to sell, those numbers will drop and the decay will affect you more. That's what I think they are and what they represent. But to my knowledge, no one has ever, including Forex, described exactly what those mean. I would just ignore them, and I would focus on whether you're outrunning the decay and whether you're growing your account or draining it.
Yeah, there's a couple videos out there that talks about the fertilizer bonus. And if you look right here today, it's going to be 25.31%. If you look tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit higher. And I know this is definitely the decay and how long like the miner has been running itself. So if you look tomorrow, each day, you're going to see this number go up and go up. And that's because of the miners running longer. And it also has to deal with the decay. But as Scott said, I don't have the full mechanics on how that exactly breaks down, but I do know it has to deal with how long the miner has been running, as well as the decay as well.
Good to know. As when we get it figured out, we'll kick a video out on it, because that's a very commonly asked question. Nobody really understands that section, and to be truthful, I don't either.
And so 𝗟𝗘𝗚𝗥 Crypto, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Pineapple Steph said, this is interesting. This is DeFi, baby. It is definitely interesting. So
100%.
Before we get out of here, do we have any other like relevant questions that hasn't been talked about a ton? Let's see. I'm going through some questions here. Will the decay ever stop? No, the decay is designed that way to allow new buyers to have the same amount of buying power as the people who got in at the beginning. Would you agree with that, Scott, or would you want to, or you think that's a good enough explanation on that question?
No, that's good. 100%. Decay will never stop. It's part of the process, part of how miners work, and in particular this miner, because he is trying to benefit the people that get in later. So the contract balance just doesn't dump, because that's how most miners work.
Yeah, for sure. Crypto Fergie said, guys, this is a real good listen. Will it be regular thing with you guys? Food for food, regular. Will it be regular thing with you guys? Food for thought. I mean, it might be. It may be. Next time I'm gonna come on Scott's channel, show the love on his channel, and then maybe we can do some maybe once a month. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I like that idea. You're the first person to offer that up. We literally just linked up in the comments a couple weeks ago, got linked up on Instagram, went back and forth in the DMs. We're like, hey, let's just jump on a live and figure it out. Then the Forex thing got announced, and you went to talk to the big guy, and now I'm just the little guy joining your channel, trying to get some love. But we could do it once a month.
Yeah, so here comes for the tough questions here. And this guy's been on my videos a couple times here. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer this. And I will tell you this, man, if you still feel the same way, if you're still gonna spread these type of vibes, I will just block you, brother. But I have no problem answering tough questions. So 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, how much are you guys being paid to lure people into this Ponzi? Number one, not being paid. Number two, I don't even have my buddy address in any of my videos because I'm doing it for the people. Number three, please research the project, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Not sure if you're a woman, not sure if you're a man, but please research the project. Look at what a Ponzi is. Number one, Drip is on the blockchain. You can clearly see what's happening in the entire ecosystem. How is it a Ponzi? Because it's invite only. That's what makes the referral system to allow people to make money, right? That wants to. You don't have to grow a team. So I'm trying to figure out how to put this without going a different way. Number one, the taxes is what help keeps the system sustainable. Then you have the mechanics, and then we have the actual animal farm within itself, the entire ecosystem, which gives Drip the utility. So before we get into the animal farm, the taxes and the mechanics are what keeps the drip faucet sustainable, as well as the reservoir, which is drip and BUSD, which pays out BNB. So those two things right there are the things that help keep the drip ecosystem sustainable. So 𝗬𝗪𝗥, when you say Ponzi, look up the definition of a Ponzi and then look up what the definition of a scam is, because everyone can see the total supply. We can see how many tokens been minted. We can see who's being paid, who's selling. Everything is on the blockchain, right? It's just an invite only to get in to the system. And actually, I like it that way, because you have to know someone to get in. Or not necessarily, you can use a random address if you choose and just get in and start on your own. And so with that being said, tell me where you see a Ponzi is that, 𝗬𝗪𝗥, please. I would like to know.
I'd say I did a video that referenced this in one of my initial videos that talks about how Ponzi's actually work and how this is different. In Ponzi schemes and even in pyramid schemes, the person above you is always really going to make more money. So if you're coming into this investment and you deposit and have more tokens than I do, even if I bought them back when I pay at a higher price and you got more tokens, and you signed up under my link, you have the potential to make more money quicker than I do. So the pyramid schemes, the people at the top always make the most. That's not how it works in this. Referrals only go up like a level. So yeah, I would say, you know, it's no offense, but you're clearly not educated on this project. And I got 1,000 videos if you want to watch them, and you're welcome to drop your hate comments on there.
Yeah, no worries, man. But yeah, hope you all the best, man. And maybe you just a little uneducated and don't 100% know. That's completely okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to bash or anything like that, but I would definitely say just educate yourself on the ecosystem, the project. And if you still have that feeling, just don't invest. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Just don't invest. But yeah. And then also how you said pyramid scheme, think about it. It's set up to the biggest people in the faucet gets put out of the faucet once they hit their max payout, which allows more people to constantly rise and rise and rise. So that knocks out the pyramid scheme as well. Plus, you can see everything on the blockchain. Also, a Ponzi is you're given a false service or product in exchange for profits that's not actually there. We actually have something here. So, I mean, you really got to understand what you're talking about, but whatever. Moving on. So we got the Drip Garden, great interview. We've been on for about an hour and a half. Scott, I want to say, man, I appreciate you coming on. We received so much love from the Drip community. And real quick, I want to see, we got about 178 people watching. If you are already in the Drip community, go ahead and type Drip in the comments section or the water symbol. Let us know how many people is in the actual Drip community. Go ahead and put it down in the comment section. Yeah, we got Pineapple Steph. She says she's getting in. If you got any questions, just let me know. Here
we go. Yeah, a lot of these folks are. Drip community is so strong, man. As soon as I posted that I was jumping on with you, a lot of people are like, I'm watching it, you know. I'm all over. Even when I posted that on Instagram, people are like, thanks for linking it up because I'm going to check it out. So I think, look at all these droplets coming in.
If you are in Drip, let us know. Put Drip in the comment section or give us the water symbol and let us know if you are in Drip. Yeah, we had a really good community, man. But Scott, just let me know when you want me to come on to the show, and we'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I like the idea of doing this as a regular thing. I think let's do. Man, I wonder. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get back to me
monthly, and maybe maybe it'll be like either right before or right after the animal farm actually launches, so we can get into it. But yeah, I think that'd be cool, man. It's always nice when you vibe with someone. That hour and a half, it went by real fast.
It did. And drinking all this water, I got to use the bathroom.
All right,
so man, I appreciate everyone tuning in. The live stream will be available. Playback will be available. Remember, subscribe to Scott the Investor's channel. It's in the description. And we'll catch you guys